Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark from the United States.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Mark from the States. How are we doing today? I am doing fantastic. I hope you are as well. Thank you so much for coming. I appreciate all of you. Come sit on this couch. It's big, it's fake. You know the drill. This video has become highly requested by a lot of you. I've had some hesitation based on the subject matter, but we're going to go for it. It is Trump's Greenland grab. A British problem? Question mark. It's by Mark Felton Productions. Please, 2 links below. One to his channel, one to this video. I encourage you to get over there and please, if you have 1 like or 1 subscription to give today, please give it to him. We are only 8 as of this recording away from 10,000. Crazy. So if you're not subscribed to us, help us get to this incredible milestone, which is thought to be a pipe dream, if you will. Today's topic of this video is going to be a little charged, highly charged, I guess, emotionally. People have their opinions about the U.S. president. Some, I would like to say most, actually, have a positive or at least are enjoying the ride that we're currently on. But there are many of you who also have negative opinions, and that's fine. There are a lot of things about my president that I really despise and wish wouldn't be the case. But with that said, when it comes to commenting on this video, everyone is welcome to do it. It is a free speech channel. Our community, our channel is, you could say whatever you want to say. That is not a problem here. I just ask you to kind of keep it, cool. I'm not going to remove you if you say a lot of negative things or even, insulting things. I'm not going to remove it. I will have to click the like to let you know I read it. Doesn't mean I like it, even though I just wish they would have a different button for just showing that I read the comment, because that is what I want to do, is read everyone's comment. That's my goal. I may not comment on everything, but I want to read everything. But there are going to be many of you who have positive and informative comments as well, to kind of move along the conversation and put some more insight and context and help me learn more. I just want to learn more about this. I know it involves the British somehow, so I'm going to learn about that, and that's really the goal of this video. It's not a "we hate Trump" video, by no means. He is who he is. So yes, you are free to say whatever you want. I will not remove or block you. YouTube, on the other hand, they do have rules. So a lot of cussing, of course, threats, so on and so forth. They'll probably remove it. So just keep that in mind, as I am anxious to see this, to say the least. I was a little hesitant, but it's information that I want to know. I want to learn, right? So shall we go ahead and do this? All right. That's awesome.
A few days before his inauguration, President Donald Trump had a difficult phone call with Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen concerning his demand that Greenland, a Danish overseas territory, be placed under US sovereignty. According to the Danish Prime Minister, when she told Trump that Greenland was not for sale and that it was up to Greenlanders to determine their own fate, Trump threatened Denmark with trade tariffs if it does not comply with his wishes. Trump has long contested that Greenland is vital to US security, and Denmark has been placed in a difficult position as the United States is its main export market.
Did not
So
know that.
what is the fascination with Greenland? The United States has tried many times over 2 centuries to purchase or annex Greenland, and
Really?
Trump's latest attempt has a long and difficult history behind it. Greenland has been a Danish territory since Denmark was part of Norway, initially colonizing the barren island in 1262 and re-establishing colonization in 1721. It has been part of Denmark since 1814 and achieved home rule in 1979 and self-rule as an autonomous part of Denmark in 2009. Over 89% of the inhabitants are Inuit. Denmark used to also have another colony in the Americas, the Danish West Indies, that it first acquired in
Virgin Islands.
1672, but since 1917 has been American, now called the United States Virgin Islands.
I've been to St. Thomas.
During World War I,
and
the
St.
US
Croix.
demanded control over these islands due to their proximity to the vital Panama Canal and the fear that the Germans might seize them and use them as U-boat bases. Denmark organized a referendum in Denmark itself concerning the island's fate, which were expensive to maintain, and in January 1917 concluded a treaty with the US, selling the Danish West Indies to the US
1918.
for $25 million, or at
Okay.
today's prices $595 million in gold bullion. Concurrent with this deal, the US also tried to purchase Greenland. In fact, the US tried to purchase Greenland before, in 1867 and 1910.
What?
In 1867, fresh from purchasing Alaska from Russia, US Secretary of State William H. Seward proposed purchasing
Under Lincoln.
Greenland, and possibly Canada as well, for both defense reasons, but also for US expansionist reasons. Greenland is, after all, full of mineral wealth, including coal, and also has large fisheries. The problem was twofold. Canada was a bit of a fly in the ointment to the United States, Canada of course being a British dominion. The British were very keen that the United States should not expand into Canada, and the United States was keen to expand into Canada. So the potential for trouble or even for armed conflict between the two nations was always there
IRA.
in the 19th.
You see the flag there? Interesting, huh? 1866, U.S. Fenian invasion of Canada.
Century. The proposal to take Greenland for the United States in 1867 was so that British North America, that is Canada, would be hemmed in on both sides by US territories, Greenland to the east and Alaska to the west. However, of course, Britain was determined that this would not happen, and diplomatically made moves to ensure that it didn't. You have to remember that at this time Great Britain was an enormous and powerful superpower,
Yes.
and was taken far more seriously by US politicians. In 1910, behind-the-scenes talks between
Taft.
Washington, D.C. and Copenhagen involved swapping islands in the Philippines and the West Indies between the United States and Denmark to obtain Greenland for the US. The British and the Canadians also still wanted Greenland, and in 1917 London secured an agreement with the Danish government, which is still law and agreed to by the US in 1917, that if Denmark ever decided to sell Greenland, Great Britain was to get first refusal. So if President Trump continues with his plans to obtain Greenland and Denmark agrees, Britain will be offered first refusal on purchasing Greenland. And if
Oh my gosh. Hold on one sec. Violet wants to say hello. Hello, Violet. That's her belly. Wow, lot to take in here. See, just watching regular news, you would never know about all this past attempts at purchasing Greenland. All the way back to Abraham Lincoln with Seward. Wow. I would never know that. You just hear on the news is that everybody, clutching their pearls is when Trump mentions it. You're thinking it's this crazy idea, but this has been going on for, gosh, long time. And I love the fact that I love the fact that the UK has first right of refusal. Great deal on your part. And here it's up to Greenland. If they say no, they say no. End of story. Yes, Trump will throw a fit, threaten tariffs, but tariffs work. The only reason he does that is because tariffs do work. I mean, at least they have for him. He threatened Mexico and Canada with tariffs, and the following day or a day or so later, Mexico sending 10,000 troops to the border and helping with cutting down illegal immigration. And Canada activated their 1 point something billion program of flying helicopters and more personnel at the border to keep people from coming in on the northern border. And and so he paused the tariffs. I mean, it works. He did the same thing with the Panama Canal. Went down there to Panama, wants China out of the Panama. China owns the two ports on both ends of the canal. And they have this thing called the Silk Road Initiative where they're trying to go through this unpassable area down there, the Darien Gap. And they're building roads to funnel in more I say issues because that's what it'll be. And he went down there with the promise of tariffs and hey, we're going to do this, that. And what did Panama do? They ended their association with China and the Silk Road. So, I mean, it works, right? Right or wrong, no matter how you feel about him, there's always a deal to be had. Excuse the heater. But just, yeah, this is wild. This is wild.
If Britain doesn't want to buy it, the US can then make an offer. Will Britain press its legal right? It's very interesting. Of course, the British Prime Minister and other representatives of the British government were not invited to Trump's inauguration, which was seen as a criticism by President Trump of Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer and his policies, particularly over another issue that's brewed up between Britain and America, the Chagos Islands, or to use their proper term, the British Indian Ocean Territory. British territory.
Now, the Chagos Islands, those are probably more important with their proximity to China, right? And you guys rent a base to us, us being the U.S. That they have some really shady, secretive stuff there. So I know it's very important, though, in its proximity to China and where it is. So that might even be more important than Greenland. So yeah, I hope it, the UK government changes course on giving those back.
Use their proper term, the British Indian Ocean Territory. British territories in the Indian Ocean, where Britain has leased, since World War II, a base to the United States Air Force on the island of Diego Garcia. However, since Denmark invoked the 1917 agreement with Britain, following its Prime Minister's stormy telephone call with President Trump, Trump's attitude towards the British Prime Minister has suddenly changed. And this week, the newspapers are full of him making complimentary comments about Keir Starmer and promising to make a visit to the United Kingdom very soon. In fact, his first overseas visit as US.
Yeah, he's buttering him up, as we would say. In fact, I think Starmer is in Washington today, as a matter of fact. Today or tomorrow, as of this recording. So that's going to be interesting. Yeah, he's definitely buttering him up for something. He's always got a deal to be made, for sure.
As president, could the two things be connected? Perhaps. During World War II, Greenland became a de facto US overseas territory as air bases sprang up on the giant island, providing way stations for the ferrying of aircraft from the United States to Great Britain to take part in the bomber offensive against Germany. The Americans saw this as an opportunity to basically annex the place, and in 1946 offered the Danes $100 million in gold bullion.
Wow.
That is $1 billion at today's currency rates. But they refused again, asking the Americans in fact to leave, which the Americans refused to do, as the bases in Greenland were then vital for the Cold War with
That's
the
funny.
USSR. In the 1970s, Vice President Nelson Rockefeller proposed buying Greenland for the mining opportunities, but nothing came of this plan either. So the idea of purchasing Greenland is not at all new. But the question is, will Denmark resist this latest attempt to add Greenland to the United States, as it successfully did in 1946, 1917, 1910, and 1867? And if Denmark does decide to sell and Britain gets first refusal, perhaps Britain should purchase Greenland itself.
Yes.
The British could then rent bases to the Americans, which is something we're very used to doing when you consider the Chagos Islands deal. I'm sure the vast mineral wealth of Greenland would be of a huge benefit to the stagnant British economy. We certainly live in interesting times. What do you think?
We certainly live in interesting times. Definitely is a true statement. Wow, this video is phenomenal. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you allowing us to learn from this. Again, we never hear it from the news. The history of just the U.S. trying to purchase, and even the U.K. having some interest there as well. I think I'm all for the UK buying it and then, renting. Make some money off of us for sure. Yeah, Greenland's beautiful, isn't it? Dang. Yeah. I had no idea. You would have just thought Trump was crazy, which he probably is crazy. You have to be president. You have to be crazy to even want that position. But you would have just thought he was in this wild, he's just a bully, fascist, whatever is the term that people throw around a lot, dictator. But apparently it's been happening for decades and decades. So not the original thought. Interesting. I'm going to have to look into it more. I'm looking forward to what you all have to say for sure. Again, please keep it, civil. But yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective if you would want to purchase Greenland, if it was offered. Interesting. Very interesting. Wow. I don't even know where to go. One of the things that I get in my email, and if you want to talk about stuff more in depth, you can always email me. Emails in every description of every video. Feel free to send me. I appreciate honesty, and I appreciate people, even if you have a different point of view, or if you hate the United States, that's fine. There's a lot of things that the U.S. does or is that is worth hating. But you want to discuss it or air your grievances, my email, of course, is in the description. One of the things that's constant is like, how could President Trump buddy up with Putin and take Putin's side of the Ukraine-Russian war? And my thoughts on that are a little different. Yes, I don't want him buddying up to Putin. Nobody does. Putin's a terrible, terrible human being, and we all get that. And I wish he wouldn't show him any sort of normalcy. But let's be honest, Ukraine is not going to defeat Russia. Okay? We, meaning the taxpayers of the United States, have already given $129 billion to Ukraine. The next closest is the UK at just under $30 billion. And a lot of that money doesn't go where it's intended. A lot of it goes missing. And so, which is not unusual when you see this sort of deal, right? This is not an original thought of mine, but I've read some people have come up with this idea, some political people, saying Russia will never accept Ukraine into NATO, right? So one way to get around that is to be a partner in the mining. And now we're saying we're going to go and mine your minerals to pay back the money that has been given. I think and I agree, they have an idea of that. The point of that is to get American business personnel, contractors, structures, everything's in Ukraine and have a spot in Ukraine. And it's almost, and of course, you probably have to have some military there to protect it. And so that's a way for the United States to put some sort of stakehold into it to where maybe that would deter Russia from ever advancing on Ukraine now that Americans are there. And Americans got in not under putting troops on the ground, which I know Trump doesn't want armed conflict with Russia. He doesn't want troops on the ground, so to speak. So, and I believe him, and I may be crazy for believing him, but that's just where I'm at. So it's an interesting angle of how can we get a presence there without it being threatening in a way of military wise. It's, we now have this deal about the mining of these minerals, and so we start setting up shop. Interesting. I just feel there's some deal going on. It's shady, and I just feel that, even though Zelensky is shouting and, saying he'll resign if they put him in NATO and all that, I just feel there's some sort of plan in place here. So I'm not sure what. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to wait to see what happens. I'm not going to go all, crazy and start assuming. Anyway, hope everybody's happy, healthy, and safe. I would love to know what you even think on that topic if you care to. Again, please keep it civil, but you're able to say whatever you want. And if you want to discuss it more in depth, email me for sure. Get a lot of emails, so just be patient. I'll get to it. Hope everybody, like I said, is happy, healthy, and safe. Have a great day, and it'll be interesting. Maybe we can talk about what Trump and Starmer talked about today. That'll be interesting. Have a great one. All right, take care. Bye.
Mark from the States, Mark from the States, it's Mark, and he's from